Thanks, Chief. Oh, for you. All right, good afternoon. Thanks, Chief. I appreciate that. Um, Chief Waldo asked me to come and just share a little bit with you this afternoon about Loveland Fire Rescue Authority, some of the things we're doing as far as leadership and culture, and just not that we're doing anything any better than anybody else, but we're having some success within our own organization. So just to share that with you. As Chief said, I've been in the fire service for quite a while. I've been with Loveland for 27, 28 years. Currently a division chief, and starting in January, I moved out of operations, and now I oversee fire prevention, training, and logistics. So learning something new myself right now. So it's good. If you do read my bio in the magazine or the program, I always say the best thing about my bio is I'm a third generation firefighter and third generation chief officer. And then my son is a new firefighter with the city of Boulder, Colorado, so the fourth generation. So out of all the other stuff that's in there, that's the part that I'm most proud of, is the generations of firefighting in my family. We'll get started. We'll talk a little bit about the LFRA family. A lot of times we can talk about it as the LFRA, the organization, the district, but really to us it's the family. We're 192 square miles. We're made up of a couple different organizations. City of Loveland Fire Department, Loveland Rural Fire Protection District. 2012 we kind of merged together to become the Fire Rescue Authority. So it's complicated, and I can explain that if you come back to the later presentation. But it works really well for us. And within that, within our boundaries, we also cover a portion of another town, the town of Johnstown. 108,000 people, $19 million budget, 10 stations. I think the amazing thing about the stations isn't the numbers, and 2 of them volunteer staffed, and all that stuff is really cool. But since 2020, we've opened 2 brand new fire stations for growth. So I think that's probably the big thing we're facing in northern Colorado and on the I-25 corridor is the growth. I'm not going to read all of those. We have 32 on each shift. We've got about 15 volunteer firefighters in the Big Thompson Canyon between us and Estes Park. We're accredited, and we do closest unit dispatching. It's something that we got a new CAD system about a year and a half ago, and all the agencies in Larimer County, the agencies with paid staffing, I should say, we entered into an agreement to do closest unit dispatching. And it's been a game changer for most of the organizations. It has been for us. On a first alarm assignment, we could have 3 different departments show up in downtown Loveland on that fire. And the key to it is building those relationships ahead of time and training together. We're trained a lot with our partners. We have to, because we respond together. So it's been really well recepted within the organization. We're about to add another county into that in hopefully November. I think as you guys know, implementing CAD systems and stuff take longer than they originally think, so it may be next year, but we're going to add another county into that closest unit dispatching. To start with, we'll talk a little bit about the LFRA way. We didn't invent this. You go back into Chief Brunacini's days in Phoenix, they had the Phoenix way. A neighboring department where Chief came from, PFA, Poudre Fire Authority, they had the PFA way. You can look up the Novato way from Novato, California. But it's a cultural document about the organization. And we started off 3 fire chiefs ago saying we needed to write a cultural document for LFRA. We needed an LFRA way. Should be easy, right? Can we write down what we are, what we represent, and put that in a document? Probably have it done by Monday? Yeah, that's what we thought when we started that process, was we can do this, no problem. And we went through 2 chiefs before we actually got it done. It took us about 8 years to actually get this done. We started, we stopped. We struggled with what is the culture? How do we put that in writing? And is that culture something that the chief needs to write, or members of the organization needs to write? And we went back and forth, and initially we thought, oh, the chiefs, we can capture that. We're wrong. The culture of the organization really needed to come from the members of the organization, needed to come from the LFRA family. So that's where we went back to, and we started this process. And there's a page and a half in this document that the fire chief wrote, and that's just kind of a recap, summary type thing. The rest of it is all items that the members wrote. So we have our mission statement. It includes 4 R's: response, readiness, resources, relationships. And there's a bunch of bullet points under that in here of what each one of those means. The members of the organization sitting around the dining room table, we collected all that information from them. We've got some non-negotiables listed in here. The organization came up with those non-negotiables. We sent it out to 1/3 of the department. What are our non-negotiables? We got a list of like 50 some. The next 1/3 of the department, help us narrow those down to 5 to 6. They got it down to 5 to 6. The last 1/3 of the organization, how do we teach this? And they're the ones that guided us in how we teach this to our firefighters. There's a section in here on our vision, going from good to great, building it to last, enduring greatness. That's a book. That's all that is. That's a book. We didn't make something up, wow, that's really cool. It's the title of a book. But what does going from good to great mean? You guys can talk. What does going from good to great mean? It means we're never going to stop. We're going to continue to move forward. Because where is great? Where's great? Great's always moving out in front of us, isn't it? And what's going to happen when we say, we did it. We're great. We're there. What's going to happen? Yeah, we're going to go, hey, where are those guys going? That's it. What are they doing? Right? So that's so simple, but it guides our organization that we never stop moving forward. Okay? Going from good to great. Our values: commitment, compassion, and courage. In some ways, we may be a little obsessed with those. Those are on the side of all the apparatus. They're on just about everything we do. But our firefighters know those. They believe in those. Their personal values, they work to align with those. So those 3 C's, as we call them, they've been with the department for over 25 years. We've had the same values in the organization. At the bottom, it says warfighting manual. Was anybody in the Marines? Or I guess once you're a Marine, you're always a Marine, something like that? No? Okay. There's a really cool book. It's only about that thick, and it's called Warfighting. And we went to a class several years ago, and it was a FDNY firefighter who's also a Marine taught the class. And he brought this book out, and he said, if you replace the word warfighting or war with firefighting in this book, it is firefighters. It's what we do. And we had one of our company officers latch onto that, and he did a study with his crew on the book. And we watched this grow from that one company to a shift to the entire organization did the study on that book. And from that, each of the 3 shifts developed what they called it an operational readiness document. Basically, and it was agreement that everybody on the shift signed in how they were going to operate and how they were going to treat each other. It's really cool, isn't it? But what's one problem with each shift having their own? Yeah. We want to be unified as LFRA, not A shift, not B shift, not C shift, not our Canyon volunteers, okay? Not Community Safety Division. We want to be unified as LFRA. So part of the process to get here was we had to take those 3 documents and make one, which is in this book. And then probably one of the more unique things on the back cover is the oath that everybody takes when they come into the organization. Who writes these most of the time? Chief? Who reviews them to make sure it's right? Legal? Right? Okay. We had a group of firefighters led by an engineer in our organization write our oath. And they still had to have legal look at it. But an engineer and a group of members wrote the oath for the organization. I think that's really important to get the membership involved in something that's that critical to the organization. That's the first thing after they graduate from academy they do is stand there and raise their right hand. So use something that our members believe in because our members wrote that, okay? I've got 4 of these. I'll just toss them out here and you guys can pass them around. Whoever ends up with them at the end, you can keep it. Yep. Another big piece that went into the LFRA way was a study on this book that our department did, The Ideal Team Player. It has 3 concepts. We want people that are hungry, we want people that are humble, and we want people that are smart. And smart isn't intelligence it's talking about. It's everyday street smart, people smart is what the book talks about. So we're looking for people in the organization that want more. They want to continue to move forward. They have that hunger. We want people that are humble, okay? And we want people that have that everyday street smart. So how do we train on the LFRA way? What do we do with that? And again, this was a third of the department that came back and provided us this information. Everyone gets a printed copy. Done. Everyone, when they come in the door, they get a printed copy just like that. Our fire chief's actions, our command staff's actions have to align with the LFRA way. If the fire chief and the command staff's actions don't align with it, what is the message to the rest of the family? We don't believe in it, right? So we don't believe in it. We have to use the LFRA way to highlight our successes. When we send things out to the organization, we get a phone call about an outstanding crew that went out and changed smoke detector batteries. We use the words in that email when we send that out to the organization: commitment, compassion, courage. We use the 4 R's. We use some of those key words that's in that document when we send out messages to the organization. We have the 3 C's on every apparatus. I talked about that. What does it mean to be an LFRA firefighter? When we hire new firefighters, our operations chief sits down with all of them and they go through that book. And he talks about where it came from. What does it mean? That's great to hear it from a chief, right? That's important. But part of the post-academy process, they sit down with a lieutenant, an engineer, and a firefighter that goes through the book with them again. What's the difference from the first time? Shouldn't be much difference in the content, right? It should be the same content. But is there a difference between a chief sitting with a new firefighter and a lieutenant engineer and firefighter sharing that same message? So we try and do both. One pre-academy, one post-academy. Share the history of our organization. We aren't there yet. We're working on that one, but we want the family to know where we came from. Our logo. This is really simple. But on our logo, in the blue Maltese, there's 3 C's. It doesn't say commitment, compassion, and courage. It just has a C in each one of those wings, or whatever you want to call it, on the Maltese. That was done intentionally because we want somebody from the community that's standing there talking to one of our firefighters to say, what do those C's mean? I see the C's on your patch. What do those mean? So it gives an opportunity for our firefighters to explain that to the community member of what the commitment, compassion, courage means, what those 3 C's mean. An evaluation system based on the LFRA way. If we truly believe in the LFRA way, our personnel evaluations that we do every 6 months need to align with the LFRA way. That's really what we should be evaluated on. If this is the document that is our culture, how we're going to act, how we're going to perform, then our evaluation system should align with the LFRA way. Has to be used in decision making. We're a BLS department. We've got an outstanding ambulance district that takes care of ALS and transport. If we get a budget request for paramedics that comes through, we use the LFRA way to help us decide what to do with that budget request. In our mission, one of our bullet points in our 4 R's is we are going to be very good at basic life support. So how would getting paramedics on our engines align with that? It doesn't. It doesn't mean down the road it's not the right thing for us, but right now it's not the right thing. So the LFRA way is one of the stops when we're trying to make decisions in the organization. How does it fit within the LFRA way? Did we do what we say we do, or we're going to do? After action reviews. It was C Shift, Chief Stark. He was the one that started the war fighting study within our department. His shift had a fire, early morning, icy, cold. Things just didn't go well. They didn't go well at all for that shift. I was the operations chief at the time, and I took their document and I highlighted everything they said they were going to do that they didn't do, and went to the AAR. I usually didn't go to too many AARs. The battalion chiefs would handle them, but this one was a little unique in how well it didn't go, I should say. And I gave them each a copy of that highlighted document. And all I said was, you guys didn't live up to the document you guys all signed. And I didn't stay for the after action review. I let the battalion chief and the officers and those firefighters work that out. But I wanted them to know that they wrote that document. They signed that document. That document's important to the organization, and they didn't live up to it that night. Okay? Had a pretty big impact on that shift. Haven't had to do that again, that's for sure. Part of the LFRA way is we have to maintain some focus. And this is something that Chief mentioned, Chief Murawski, is a retired chief for us now. But he was big on this. We can't do everything in our positions, whether it's the fire chief, it's the fire marshal, it's the training officer, it's a battalion chief on shift, company officer. We can't do everything that we're asked to do. So, what is our top 5 or 6 that we have to do? And these are hanging on my desk for my position. Number 1, I have to respond to significant incidents, right? We're an all hands department. We're not that big. We go to significant incidents. Because I oversee training, are the crews trained to the standard and beyond? Right? Challenge and verify the leadership of the training battalion and community safety section. I have to give those battalion chiefs room to grow, though, right? But I have to challenge and verify that they're leading their staffs correctly. Because I have logistics, apparatus, and equipment readiness is being maintained. Our words are the apparatus and equipment needs to look used but not abused. We want to be proud of the fact that we use our equipment, our apparatus, but we don't abuse it. Firehouse is safe. Our firehouses promote firefighter health, effective operationally and maintained, and build and strengthen partner agency relationships. If I don't get anything else done, and I get those done, I'm probably doing a pretty good job. And that was Chief Murawski's point to us. Each of us in our positions need to come up with our top 5 to 6 that if all else fails, we do these, we're probably doing a good job. And it's good to have those posted so you can reground yourself on a pretty regular basis, because we get a lot of stuff piled on us, and no matter what position we're in. So what's our top 5 to 6? And the foundation for our leadership program is a class called the Leadership Journey. It's 11 weeks long, once a week. Who's watched the HBO series Band of Brothers? Yeah, a few of you. That's what it's based on. There's 11 of those, and it goes through each of those once a week. And then we've added a second semester to that now, and it's still we're still refining it. We're working with the author Dave Anderson, and he's got a book, Developing Leaders of Character, and he's doing one now on developing firefighters of character, a workbook to go with his book, and he's developing that with us in Northern Colorado, and that'll be our second semester. Everybody in the organization and our family's been through this. We continue once a year to host this through the consortium fire departments, the 9 or 10 different departments that work together on training. It's also stretched to southern Wyoming. Once a year, the departments in Cheyenne are also running a leadership journey program. So we'll pull out some of the key things out of the leadership journey, and I'll share with you. Again, this is an 11-week class, so I'm just pulling out some random things that are I think, beneficial for you. This is the basis of the class: character, competence, and vision. And if we have character, competence, and vision, we'll have trust, and we'll build trust within the organization. Okay? If you take any one of those 3 away, character, competence, or vision, which one would you take away as a leader if you didn't have one of the 3? What do you think? That's kind of difficult. They're all pretty important. Hopefully, let's say if we were to take away vision, what do we need? If we didn't have vision, if I just didn't have it in me to have vision, what do I need? I need a friend, right? I need a friend that has vision that can help me with that one, right? If there's something I'm not great at, I'm not competent at, I need a friend that is competent at that. Character. How would we use our friends to help us with character? That one's a little harder. What do you think? How about somebody to keep us in check? Hold you accountable. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. Somebody to say, don't do that, right? Don't do that again. Yeah. So you need friends to help you build this triangle. If we can build that, we'll have trust. Character will protect your competence. What does that mean? What do you think that means? How would our character protect our competence? What'd you say? Your own check? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Your character will allow you to see your own weaknesses, right? Your character will say, I don't know, right? Does that help protect your competence? Because you're not trying to fool them. I don't know. That's not my strong point, right? So our character will protect our competence. And that's why the second semester for us is really going to be focused on character and character development. Has anybody seen these before? Virtues? Resume versus eulogy? What do you think a resume virtue is? Firefighter 2, Fire Officer 1, bachelor's degrees, right? Those are things we put on our resumes. So what would a eulogy virtue be? He was a nice guy, high character, competent, right? Which one do we want to hear? Which one is more important? They're both important, aren't they? They're both important. We just have to make sure as we are on our leadership journey path that we're developing both sides, right? We have to get the education, the certifications. We have to do that. But are we working hard on the other side? Are we taking leadership classes to help develop our character, our competence? Trying to figure out how to have that vision. Okay? We have to develop both sides of those. We need both our resume and eulogy virtues. Vision. Seeing with the eyes of the heart. What does that tell us about vision? Is it saying that vision is something that's up here? Where's most of the time the vision really coming from that we're developing? Coming from the heart, isn't it? Right? We put the effort into whatever we're doing to be able to see that vision. We can feel the vision, right? We see it out here. How do we get there? What are the steps we take to get there? A lot of people say, you look out here at your vision and you work backwards. You know, I don't know what the exact process is to do that. But I think sometimes we forget that a vision that's out there a ways may be more about the heart and what you feel than always about your head and what you're thinking. Okay? Essentials of leadership. We have to build the base. Our knowledge and education. That's back to those virtues, right? Apply what we've learned in life and our profession. The things you've learned becomes your experience, and you can start to call that wisdom, right? How about the next one? Learning it from the teachings and experience of others, and take teachings out. Learning from the experience of others. Is that something in the fire service we are great at, of sharing? If you have let's just a fire, an after-action review of a fire on C shift, where does that after-action review go when C shift is done with it? Does it go to the organization? Does it go to the entire family? Or does that stay with C shift? Where does it need to go? It needs to go to the entire family. We all have to learn from the experiences that the other shifts are getting, the other divisions are getting. Okay? Invest what you know in others. It means take the time to mentor and develop others. Does anybody know who Benjamin Mee is? I didn't either till I watched a movie with my wife. Does anybody watch the movie We Bought a Zoo? Yeah, somebody seen that? Guy lives in the city with his kids. His wife dies, I think, of cancer. Needs a different setting for his kids. They're looking for a place outside the city. They buy a place and it's actually a zoo. And they get this zoo up and working again and open it back up and stuff. But he talks about at the end, he takes his family back to the city, talking to them, sharing with his kids about how he met his wife. And he's walking down the street and she's sitting in a restaurant inside the window. And he saw her, he's like, I have to talk to her. And he said, all you need is 20 seconds of insane courage. And I promise you, something great will come of it. Think about that and how that applies to leadership and supervision and the things we do dealing with people in the firehouse. I know that my firefighter's not performing where he needs to perform. I know it. I've seen it. How many of us like that conversation? That's an easy conversation. Your fellow officer on the other rig isn't performing well, isn't treating his or her crew correctly, and you have to say something. Is that an easy conversation? As the company officer coming to your battalion chief, your assistant chief, whatever, and saying, Chief, please don't do that again. Is that an easy conversation and one you're looking forward to? No. But most of the time, if we can get that conversation started, we're going to be okay. So we need this 20 seconds of insane courage to have these courageous conversations. Okay? That's all we need. It's 20 seconds. Get that conversation started, and chances are we're going to be okay. All right? Some other key terms, and we're not going to talk about all of them. Unity, we hit on that one a little bit. Other-centered. What does other-centered mean? It's not about us, right? It's not about us. It's not about the chief officers of the organization. It's not about the company officers. Is it about the citizens we serve? Yeah, right? It's not about us. Vulnerability. That word kind of sucks most of the time, right? Doesn't feel good to most of us. But more and more leadership things that are out there right now talk about the importance of leaders being vulnerable. Leaders saying, I don't know. Leaders saying, well, let's figure it out. Leaders saying, yeah, I screwed up. Right? Public trust. If we damage the public trust, when the tones go off, why even open the bay door? To let the big red truck run out, right? Why even do that? If we damage the public trust, what's the point? Does anybody know anything about the Loveland, Colorado Police Department? It's bad. They, a year or so ago, elderly lady shoplifted $17 worth of items from Walmart. She's got dementia. The store tries to stop her. They do the proper thing and let her go eventually. She walks down the parking lot, across the street, she's heading home. Police officer stops her. Another officer arrives. It's a male officer and a female officer at that point. And they're trying to have a conversation with her. In their eyes, she's not acting appropriately. She's being defiant. They end up putting her against the car forcefully, then onto the ground, and arresting her. They took her back to the police station. She sat there for a few hours complaining about her shoulder hurting. Never called anybody, right? Gets transported up to the detention center. Detention center calls somebody for her shoulder. Her shoulder's broken. What do you think happened just like that with the public trust in the Loveland Police Department? And now there's an attorney that specializes in these cases that's gone back through thousands of hours of body cam video from LPD, looking for other things and calling people and saying, hey, I think we've got a case. There's body cam video of an accident scene. The guy's not cooperating. They end up putting him on the ground. He gets injured. And who's standing there in the background? Body cam video. LFRA firefighter. Helmet on, traffic vest on, doing what we do. And that camera video gets released. Then we got calls, we got messages from people across the country saying, why didn't that firefighter step in and do anything? Why did that firefighter let that police officer hurt that person? Where's your integrity? Right? So how quick can we damage the public trust? And how hard is it to regain that trust? It's going to be impossible, right? For a long time. LPD, almost on a daily basis, posts some really nice thing that they've done on all their social media. If you want some entertainment sometime, go to their page and read all the comments. Because people do not let it go. They continue to make comments. And it's not people from our own community. It comes from other places. So we can't damage the public's trust. How about tempo? Do we have to pay attention to our leadership tempo? Organizational tempo? Can we move too fast or too slow for our family? Yeah, do we always recognize that? No. I think one of the times that we've seen it is when the brand new fire chief shows up, right? And gets time to evaluate things, and they got ideas. Good ideas, and things we need to do to move us forward. But can the organization only handle so much at a time? Do we have to pay attention to the tempo? And can that tempo fluctuate? All right? Let's start off at this speed and then pick up and then maybe drop back down for a little bit. We just have to have a good feel for the tempo in the organization so we don't add to the fear that our troops have of change already, right? If we can really pay attention to the tempo, that'll help with that. Leadership fears. We have a fear of letting people down. Does anybody feel like that? Has anybody as a leader ever let anyone down? Yeah, I have. Right? It's our biggest fear. Fear of not measuring up. We promoted 3 lieutenants not long ago, and we just did a round of live fire training. And one of those brand new lieutenants shows up on the first due engine, and here's the standard for our blue card on-scene report. And where do you think that person went? I mean, we knew the color of countertops. We knew what the car in the garage was. We knew so much about that house because what was he doing? Wanted to make sure that he was measuring up to everybody else, and he went so far beyond trying to make sure he was measuring up. It's part of being a new officer, right? It's probably going to happen. Fear of failing the mission. Fear of letting the organization down, letting the family down. When we have fear in our leadership, it lends us to underestimating a situation or overestimating our abilities. Yeah, we got it. We can do that. No problem. It may be we don't have this at all, but we don't want anybody else to know that we don't. Right? You see that with new officers, new battalion chiefs. I can handle this personnel issue. I don't need help. Yeah, you probably do. But they want to measure up. They don't want to let people down. Leadership fear impacts our situational awareness. Paralysis, uncontrolled actions, misreading cues. One of our battalion chiefs now, when he was a captain, he tells us this story. In fact, we have it on video from the battalion chief's dash cam. They pull up to a house fire one night, attic fire. He gets out, he does his 360. The homeowner, the gentleman, obviously really concerned about his house, follows the captain on the entire 360 wearing nothing but his underwear and talking to the captain the entire way. When Jason got done with the 360, he was going to give us a follow-up report, give assignments out. It was poor. A really poor report. He got distracted, right? He got distracted by the guy in the underwear talking to him on the entire 360, and that really derailed him, impacted his situational awareness. Okay? So he misread some of the cues that the building was telling us. We did a really good job of burning the roof off, right? And the other piece to that Jason goes on to tell, kind of leadership related, a month and a half later, they saw the family in the grocery store. And what did the family tell him? Thank you. You guys are awesome. You did a great job. And what is Jason thinking? I know we didn't do a great job that night. We did not bring our A game, and we burned the roof off of those people's house. All right? If we practice the basics flawlessly, then we can worry about the what ifs. 2013, we had a big flood come down the Big Thompson Canyon, started up in Estes Park, came down into Loveland, made 80-some rescues across the river in the canyon. The river's about 120, 130 feet across, and the crew that went up there, I shouldn't say we, I wasn't there. The crew that went up there had a 65-foot aerial ladder truck. That's all the reach they had. It was a baby ladder truck. And they were able to use that aerial ladder and some ropes to bring 80-some people across that river. And they'd never done that before. Never. Why were they able to be successful? Because of their basics. They work on the basics until they're flawless. And then they can worry about the what ifs. That was a what if situation. But because their basics were so strong, they could piece that together to make those rescues. So sometimes I think our firefighters get tired of doing the basics. We got to keep doing the basics. Keep doing the basics, because that's the foundation for bringing 80 people across the river with a 65-foot aerial ladder and some ropes. Okay? Beware of leadership distractors. Don't let something that's really not important distract us from what we're trying to accomplish in the family. Timing is so important. I think the best example I've got of this for you is 2018-19. We went through a big tactics change. We tried to be really progressive, stay on the leading edge with tactics. We were doing some stuff on modern fuels, modern tactics. We implemented using smoke curtains to control flow path. We implemented some fog nail nozzles, or attack spikes they call them now, some small piercing nozzles for some attic space fires, trying to get really good at tactical tick operations. And I'm sitting in the battalion chief's office at shift change. Oncoming BC's there, offgoing BC's there, training BC's there, and I'm sitting there. And they're talking about probably a quarter of the department that is just not getting it. Whether they don't want to, they're resisting the change, they don't understand it, something's happening and they're just not getting these new tactics that we've been rolling out. And we've been 3 or 4 months into this process. And so they're sitting there talking about that and what to do, how to go back and formulate some of it, roll it out a different way, trying to get these folks caught up. And I left and I went back over to my office and then ended up coming back in the truck room to help them move a vehicle out to fleet. And I walked in the truck bay, and those battalion chiefs are now downstairs. And there's 2 companies there, the company from Station 1 and one of the other companies. They're doing gear inspections, bunker gear inspections. So they got all the gear torn apart. And there's 6 boxes sitting on a table. And the battalion chiefs are ripping open these boxes. And they pull out a European fire helmet out of one of those boxes. We had ordered 6 of them as demos. I don't care what helmets the crews wear. I just want them to wear the safest helmets. And if that turns out to be them, then that's what we should be wearing, right? That's my philosophy with it. But as soon as that helmet came out of the box, what happened with those 2 crews that were standing there? Half of them said, I want to try it. And the other half said, don't even touch me with that. Right? So I'm watching this transpire. I get in the vehicle. We drive down, drop a vehicle off at Fleet. I'm riding back with one of the battalion chiefs. I said, "That's some really poor timing. We're trying to make a huge change in our organization in tactics. Huge. And we want them talking about that tactics change at the kitchen table. But for the next month and a half, what are they going to talk about at the kitchen table? European fire helmet. As leaders, we had poor timing, right? It's okay that we want to try those at some point. We got to pick the right time. We totally distracted them from what was really important. The focus across the entire organization went to, are they going to make me wear that thing? Or, yeah, I want to wear that. And the talk about the tactics stopped. So we have to be good at picking the timing. Don't distract the organization from what's really important. Instilling balance. I was helping my wife hang pictures in the basement probably a couple years ago, and she said, we need a balancer. I said, what? a balancer, one of those things with the bubble and a balancer. So, level, gotcha, right? But the more I thought about what she was calling that, the balancer, and I'd been hearing a lot, our battalion chiefs and stuff talking about work-life balance and, things with our troops. That word balancer just stuck with me. And really thinking about that work-life thing, and I think what's going to get most of us is if we think that work-life balance is rigid. 50%'s here and 50%'s here, and it never changes. How hard is that going to be for us to manage? How can we do that? I think with balance, we have to realize that it is fluid, and it's going to change. And I shared with our crews when I went and met with them that in 2013, when we had that flood, in 2020, Cameron Peak Fire, the largest wildland fire in Colorado history, I think for a day, and I think something else took its place, but it burned for like 90 days before it reached our district. Those times that balancer, your level, is probably tilted in a direction towards the LFRA. The time commitment that you're having to put in a situation like that, maybe a promotion test that you're taking, may be tilted towards the organization. If one of the fire inspectors comes in and says, hey, my wife just got diagnosed with cancer, what's going to happen to their level? Is there going to be a tilt? Should there be a tilt? Yes. My kid's going off to college. I got a lot of things to do to get them ready for that. Should that tilt? And should that be okay? So what I've been trying to really work with our crews on is try and manage that balance within a half a bubble, either way. If we can keep that balance most of the time, a half bubble back and forth, we're managing it, we're probably going to do okay. And it's going to set us up well for when we have that big swing, that flood that hits and we got to commit a lot of time at work, or that family thing that hits and we have to commit a lot of time there, and then we can bring it back. But if we can think about balance as a half bubble either way, I think it's much better than saying, 50-50. Because that's going to kill us. I don't know that we can really do that and control it that way. And it's going to eat away at us. A warning from Chief Brunacini on leadership. You can fool the spectators, but you can't fool the players. Right? Chief Mike West, he's chief of a neighboring organization. He shared this with us at a leadership class. Your ego is not your amigo. When we work with our young firefighters and we are trying to introduce them into the organization, into the family, we try and talk to them about everything that's out there on social media, right? There's training groups, training companies, all over the place on social media, right? All different philosophies. Do they all align with LFRA's philosophies? No. Are we telling them not to watch those things? No. But what we are trying to tell them is watch them and bring them in and talk to them, your officer, right? Hey, I saw this. Can we talk about this? Talk about it with your battalion chief, your training chief. Okay? That's all we're asking, because there are so many different things out there, some good, some bad, I'm sure. There's things that align with the LFRA, things that don't, things that the LFRA could grab a hold of, and things we shouldn't. Situational leadership. Can we do a good job of moving between those. This is really simple, right? Autocratic, we're talking fireground stuff most of the time. Participatory, I don't know, you guys decide, right? Let me know. And then out front. This is one Chief Morawski talks about a lot. And when he came to LFRA, he did this a lot. I've done a lot of research. I want LFRA to get Blue Card certified. He had the vision, follow me, but he said, figure out how we're going to get there. So he was leading us out front, but he wasn't making all the decisions to get us there. So I really like that out front style of leadership, out in front. Don't worry about all these. Just know that there's a lot of different leadership styles out there when you read a lot of different things. Okay? The key to it is what most firefighters are looking for is a servant leader. And for us as leaders, we have to have a leadership agility so we can flip between those different styles to be an effective leader. Traits of a servant leader. I think the one key, we did a whole series on situational leadership in the organization. One of the fun things afterwards we saw, it was fun later, it wasn't fun at the time, but there was kind of a feel from the members of the organization that servant leadership meant we get anything we want. The leaders have to give us whatever we want because they're serving us. So we had to go back and clean some of that up, and where did we go wrong in that? Okay. Oops. Change and uncertainty in the organization. When we have changes coming at us, we got really three choices the way we look at it. If the change that's coming at us is right for us, let's come up with an implementation and training plan and let's do it. It's okay. We're not going to be scared of it as a family. If the change is not right for us, let it pass by. It's okay. We don't have to grab everything. And the third one, it might be right for us, and we say, let PFA, our neighboring department, do it first. They got enough money they can go back and change it if it doesn't work. We can watch and go, ooh, that did work. Let's do that. Or, I'm glad we didn't do that, right? But if we're on the fence, let someone else do it first. Remember, we're responsible for our own attitudes on change and uncertainty. The thing that presses on us the most with change, a lot of times isn't what's actually changing. It's requiring something from us. And most of the time in the fire service, it's our time. It's another commitment. We have to train on how to do this all over again. We have to learn this new hose load. We have to learn this new administrative procedure. That's what gets us most of the time. As leaders, the easy answer, when people bring you thoughts, ideas, changes, the easy answer is no. No. We're done. It required no time, right? The hard answer, the courageous answer, many times is yes. Okay? So think about that as people bring things to you. There are going to be times when it's no, or we can't do that, or that doesn't align with the mission. But make sure we're not just saying no because that's the easy answer. A leader today has a rete and vision. So our character competence, and it has vision. Understands situational leadership, can apply leadership agility. Has the heart of a servant leader and the courage to seek discomfort. My counterpart, Michael Sorosky, he applied for a deputy chief position in Washington State and got that and left just over a year ago. And on his white marker board in his office, he wrote, "Seek discomfort," as the last thing he left for us on the way out the door. And we've reflected on that a lot. that there are times we need to seek discomfort, right? Personally, as a family, we need to seek that discomfort because that's continually moving us forward. And it's okay. And we shouldn't be scared of that discomfort. Make you better, make them better, make those around us better, our peers, and make the organization better. That's our challenge. That's what we need to do. And you heard this earlier. You've heard it, be kind, be nice. That's off of Chief Brunacini's fire engine, be nice, right? If you guys have any questions, you want documents, you want anything, send me an email, send me a text. We'll get it to you. I appreciate you guys' time. Unless you have any questions, that's all I've got for you. Thank you.